On the Sunday before Lent, Cheese Fair, the Orthodox tradition is that we focus on forgiveness. We call it Forgiveness Sunday. We hear the words of Jesus reminding us that unless we forgive one another, we can't hope to find forgiveness from God. Because a lack of forgiveness, anger, resentment, is like poison in the heart. And the Church Fathers use the image of oil and water. They say, though we might appear to stir oil and water together, once it's settled, the two will separate. We may feel that we're drawing close to God, but if we allow anger to fester in our hearts, we separate ourselves from God. Each of the passions, of course, has a different effect in the heart. And anger separates us from God, prevents us from this union with God. And we are reluctant to forgive because it's painful. It makes us vulnerable. It exposes us. There is a tradition that says forgiveness is liberation. So long as we are reacting to what happens to us, reacting to the things that people do and the circumstances of our lives, we are only a reactor. We are enslaved. When we forgive, we choose to act. We don't simply react. We choose to forgive, and we choose to find liberation, freedom. Freedom from what happens and occurs to us. It's freedom from the passion within us. But it is difficult, and our natural instinct is to protect ourselves, put up the barriers, not expose ourselves to this kind of pain. And the Church Fathers give us very practical advice about how to begin to forgive. St. John Climacus says we should make 100 prostrations whenever we find anger in our hearts, and each time pray that God will forgive us through the prayers of that person towards whom we're angry. Now, I suspect there will be people watching this as weak as me who think 100 prostrations every time I find anger there. Will I be doing anything else 24 hours a day but making prostrations? We're not holy monks, but the model, the pattern still applies to us. When we see anger within us, we must always react with prayer. Choose prayer. Pray for the salvation, pray for the good of that person. And the Church Fathers remind us we should always judge ourselves. Judge ourselves as the guilty one. Recognize the sin of the anger within us. Call ourselves guilty. Ask for forgiveness as we pray for the other person. The Church Fathers encourage us to forgive, not only to simply find God's forgiveness, but also to allow ourselves to enter into union with Him, to purify the heart, so that the heart will be filled with God's peace, His presence, His joy. We can be filled with God's liberation, His freedom.